What's up everybody, it's your boy Zed, and today we're going to be talking about games. Now, I do actually want to make a follow-up video on my first video, talking about fighting games, casuals not playing them. Recommendations kind of helped me out there, so a lot of people saw it. Good ideas came from it, like some really good ones. Some things that I didn't go over, so I'm definitely gonna probably make a second follow-up video on that. But of course, I already had a video in the works, so I'm not gonna just drop it. But we're gonna be getting into this one, today's video, and today's topic is gonna be about games and stories. Games, I feel like, back in the day, used to really be about, you know, the gameplay aspect, especially in the 2000s, you know, like the early 2000s. It was always about the gritty gameplay and what was really there. You know, when we played a Mega Man game, you know, it wasn't because you cared about the story, it was because you wanted to fight the little 8 masters and take all their powers and become stronger. You didn't play Mario because you really thought it was the peak of, you know, rescuing stories. You just thought, oh, you want to save the princess because you don't want her to get hurt. It was bare bones. I feel like in today's age, if a story and a game do not coexist perfectly, the game is bad. Like if a game does not have a, you know, peak fiction story, the game is bad. And I just personally don't agree with that. I live by the notion that games are gameplay first and story second. If you want an amazing story, why not read a manga or a comic or watch a TV show, an anime, a movie, or a cartoon? Those are specifically created for the viewer to absorb from the screen or the book, watching an amazing story unfold right before your eyes. And I'm not saying that games cannot have amazing stories. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But games have always been about feeling like you're in control of the character. That you feel as if you are the one doing the movement, the fighting, the action. I just don't feel like it's up to games to create peak stories. By no means am I saying that the story should be bad, especially if you actually focus on it. If you're going to add a story to your game, then that story needs to be good. But I would not fault a creator if they created a story and they also created a game and the game was significantly better. Take Kingdom Hearts 3 for example. I don't think the story for that game was that great. I don't think that it really lived up to the hype of many of the other Kingdom Hearts titles. And in fact, I think it made a lot of things worse in previous titles. But the gameplay's fun. The DLC bosses are fun. So guess what? I'm considering Kingdom Hearts 3 a good game. Do you really think I buy Mega Man X1 through however many there were because the story was, the peak fiction was the best thing I've ever seen? No, it's pretty mid. It's honestly bare bones garbage, but the gameplay is fun, so I don't care. In my opinion, those are great games. Now, like I said, I do believe JRPGs are an exception to this rule. Because JRPGs, well, let's just say they are quite literally telling an anime in gameplay format. So I usually let those slide, kind of like take the Tales of the Mothership titles as an example. You are quite literally playing an anime in gameplay form. They have so many different like anime cutscenes. All of the cutscenes feel very anime. They even have little anime cutscene skits. When you're playing the game, it's clear what they're trying to go for. So I wouldn't tell them, oh, their story doesn't need to be amazing, because usually their game is all about story. But here's another kicker. I love Tales of Berseria, and I love the gameplay and the story, but I still play it as if it's a game first. If it came out with its own anime, it probably would be one of my favorite anime of all time, because the story is that good in my personal opinion. The gameplay is okay, but it's not the best I've ever played. And then you have other Tales games, like Tales of Abyss and Tales of Symphonia, which in my personal opinion are very boring to play. Like, I know that some people don't like the Berseria combat, maybe I should make a video on that too, but it's far more in-depth than the Vesperia and this combat, and I just think people aren't very good at the games, so they feel like it's mashy, when it's really not. If you play on higher difficulty, it's not mashy. But I play those games for the story, and those are the only exceptions, because every other game I play for the gameplay. I play Guilty Gear Strive for the gameplay. I don't give a shit about the story. I'm not saying that the story isn't amazing or that the story is bad, but I don't care for it. I don't play Smash Bros. Because of the story. I don't play like Mega Man games, like I said, because of the story. And I'm not trying to say that the story isn't important, but I feel like it's unfair to put it all on games to create an immaculate story. By no means am I saying the story should be bad, but Just don't put it on games to create great stories or peak stories or amazing literature. Put it on game developers to create good games with amazing gaming experiences. That's what they are trying to do, and that's what they should do. It's not up to them to create the best story you've ever seen. It's up to them to create the best game you've ever seen. But hey, I'm just a random guy on the internet talking about stuff. If you disagree, tell me why. I personally see games as games first, story second. Do you think games are story first, games second? Or do you believe that they need to coexist perfectly and beautifully with 100% on both sides? Tell me what you think, but that's gonna be it for me. It's your boy Zed, signing out.